Alright, everyone. So, today I'm going to go over VUULR and FILMHUB for independent filmmakers. So, if you're an independent filmmaker and you either want to make a movie or you have a fully finished movie and now you're trying to find a way to distribute it by yourself or with a little bit of help, or you don't have any idea at all and you've done a little bit of research and you've found FilmHub and maybe VUULR and you're just trying to figure out, well, how much money can I really make from these things? Um, and like, what is just some real practical data that I can use? And that is why I'm here. I'm going to give you, I have 1 year of data. I have two films that I use both of these platforms for to self distribute or use to distribute. Um, and I'm going to tell you what I did and how much I made and how much effort it took, I guess you could say, and kind of just a general rundown of. On this video, I'm just focused on two things: FilmHub and VUULR. So I'm going to start with FilmHub. Um, for those unaware, FilmHub is basically a free application or a platform that allows you to upload your film and all its data onto a database. And once you've uploaded it, FilmHub then submits your film to various ad-based streaming platforms who may or may not distribute your film. And for those that do distribute your film, you get a little bit of ad revenue every time someone watches your film on their streaming platform. They're popular and they're growing because almost anyone can submit. No matter how low budget or low quality your films are, as long as they meet a certain standard, um, they'll get you access to very popular platforms from Amazon Prime, Tubi, Plex, Zumo, and now they have like 30 plus others. And they keep getting access to more and more streamers. So there's a lot of advantages to FilmHub. The main one is that it's free, so you don't have to pay to have it, you know, uploaded onto a certain platform. All they do is they take a percentage of your ad revenue, and it's super easy to upload. Uploading is about as simple as it would be to, create a social media page for your film or like uploading your data to IMDb. You already have all this data probably anyway. You're just doing it one more time and uploading it again. It's super easy. But the downside is that you're basically it's like life rights. It's non-exclusive and it's blind. And what I mean by that is basically once you upload your film and like say go for it. I forget what it's called, like going live or whatever. You have no say over who's gonna pick up the film, when it's gonna go live. It's pretty much just once it's out there, and then hopefully someone picks it up. Who knows when it goes live? No one really tells you. It just is up there, and then eventually um, nowadays I think it's like FilmHub pays you as soon as they get paid, but they don't always get paid until like once every quarter, and you may not know how much you're gonna make another 3 to 6 months from by the time you think it goes live. And sometimes it says it is and it's not. So like there's a lot of just like kind of gray area as far as like you have no like set date that you can be like, I'm going to promote it for this launch on this platform, because you don't know. Even if someone picks it up and FilmHub delivers it to them, you don't know when they're going to post it. And I'll go over this data in a second, but like I had some that picked it up months ago. It's still not live. It's been on FilmHub for over a year, delivered over 6 months ago. I still don't see it on certain ones, but and for those that are new, what I mean by like it's non-exclusive, when you sell your movie to a distributor or platform or whatever, you kind of have two choices. Either you sell it exclusively to a certain company on one territory or a certain group of territories, or when I say sell it, it's technically licensing, or you license it non-exclusively, meaning you can license it to them, you can license it to a bunch of other people. Um, and that's the simple version. Is basically like, are you the only person that's going to be able to show my film? So like when when your film is exclusive to Netflix, Netflix is the only person that has it. When you're non-exclusive, Amazon has it. Netflix has it. What, whatever other distributors have it. It could be all over the place. That's why you'll see certain movies that are on like every platform. And then there's other ones that are like only available on a certain platform, and then they're like, oh, this one's going to drop off. You only have access to it on here for a certain amount of time, because then their contract ends and now it's open again. And that's the thing, is you have the ability to set how long you want someone can license to have it. And I've had some, and I'll go over this data in a little bit, like it was literally 2 days that was like one of the deals, and then other ones where it was like multiple years. But most often it's like 1 year, and so at least for myself. So that's kind of the downside with FilmHub, is like once you go live on FilmHub, you don't know who's going to pick it up. Nobody could pick it up, and it could be months before it goes live. And because it's basically out there, unless you specify don't sell it in Africa or whatever, it's going to be basically open non-exclusively forever. And you can't try to make an exclusive deal with anybody once you post it to FilmHub. So that's kind of one of the downsides. It's like once it's out there, and you don't really have any control over it. But there's plus sides to that too, because it gives you more control in that sense. So with that said, let's look at my numbers. Okay, so in November of 2021, I uploaded one of my films. Now, I had some exclusive deals in the works, so I held off on going live until I finalized which countries I needed to exclude from FilmHub. And I didn't actually post it live on FilmHub until December, whenever I finally specified it's not available in certain territories. So I knew going into this, before I uploaded to FilmHub, that this was an issue. So I made sure to try and make as many deals as I could before uploading to FilmHub, as like kind of leaving FilmHub as like the last resort, so to speak. So over the course of, so once I went live in December, it basically, from January to June, I was picked up by 8 different platforms in 2022. And the 8 different ones were My Movies Plus, Zumo, that's with an X, One Hub TV, Popsy on Plex, Tubi, Amazon Prime Video, Look Who, and Momentu. And from May of 2022 to April of this year, 2023, or basically May of 2023, I made a whopping $21. And all of that only came from 3 of those names I said: Tubi, Amazon, and Popsy on Plex. All the other platforms, I didn't get anything. And some of them are live. I guess just nobody's watching them. Other ones, it's not even live. But I need to note that my film was an Indian film with the dialogue in Hindi. It was subtitled, but the audio was in Hindi. So I didn't expect to earn much. This was actually what I predicted, somewhere between $20 and $50 a year. My film just doesn't stand out. It's not in English. It's not flashy. It's a Hindi romance thriller. I did literally 0 marketing for it in the United States. My focus was on foreign markets, exclusive markets, or exclusive deals in foreign markets. So FilmHub in the U.S., and it was kind of an experiment, so to speak. There are ways to actually earn more if I wanted to put the effort into it, but most of the time that required more of my time and more of my money, and I just didn't see it worth it. And I still kind of stand by that. For my film, I don't think it really was at the time. I spent my efforts in other places where it did work, and I'll go over how that was at the end. So don't get discouraged. I know plenty of people that make films in English that are high concept genre films with flashy covers, and they make whole levels of magnitude more than I did, like $2K a month or more from FilmHub. So it's all about flash and genre and having your audio in English, which brings me to VUULR. VUULR was the same issue. I would have made a lot more if I had my film dubbed in English with the audio English. Because what VUULR is it's not just a platform like FilmHub, it's a marketplace. So it's sort of like an online film market. So like for those that are screenwriters or know anything about Inktip, it's kind of like that. So like Inktip is where um, screenwriters or producers basically say, "Hey, I'm looking for a blah 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 movie," and then screenwriters say, "Hey, I have blah 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 movie that you're looking for," of the same kind of genre kind of thing. Same thing. So produce or distributors will basically post on a forum saying, "Hey, I'm looking for 20 films of certain genres that are going to be um, in certain territories for a certain amount of time." And then you, as the filmmaker, can then say, I have that film and I meet all your qualifications, etc. And you can then like pitch them. And all you upload all your data one time. So your pitch is super easy. It's basically saying, hey, I have what you need. Here's a link to my film, the trailer, all the photos, all the relevant, the synopsis, log line, everything you need to know. And in that scenario, VUULR makes it really easy for once there is a match. They then kind of have like template contracts in place so that it's really easy to make a deal for both parties. Um, and I really like VUULR a lot. It has its downsides and loopholes, which I'll go over. Um, so the biggest one being that VUULR doesn't really have any authority over anything. They're just a middleman, but they're a worthy middleman. So when a distributor doesn't pay you or uphold their end of the deal, you can't really complain to VUULR or expect them to enforce anything. If things go bad, all legal downsides are on you. And this happened to me. I had a really big deal. For me, it was a 5-figure multi-year deal, exclusive, that just never happened. And I got ghosted by the distributor without ever getting paid. And, but with that being said, that was one of multiple deals, and it probably could have gone better. It's just that it had nothing to do with VUULR or me or really anything. I think it was just one of those like they were a new platform that just never really got their feet off the ground, and maybe just overbought or something on a lot of different things and realized they just weren't going to have the revenue to sustain it or something like that. And basically went bankrupt before, I could really have a say in things. But anyway, that being said, I made way more with VUULR in a year than I did with FilmHub, and I did about the same amount of work for both. It was like, it's just FilmHub, you upload something once. Same thing with VUULR, except for VUULR, you then have to kind of every day or week or so, just check people's posts and then just try to pitch a few. And there's not that many, There may be one or two new ones a day. So and they usually take a couple months before like they fade away. So it's like you don't have to every day be like, oh, the new one, because it's not like, I don't think it's like, oh, you're the first one, let's go. Maybe that was another mistake. But anyway, so let's jump into my data. So I made deals with, I believe, 9 different distributors, but I'm going to cut off one because one of them fell through. So 8 different distributors in territories all over the world. And I made a few minimum guarantees and a few that were ad-based revenue. And I think all in all, I made about 1,000 USD in the minimum guarantees. Minimum guarantee meaning like I got money up front. Basically, like once the contract was signed, I actually got like paid quickly. And then like ad based meaning I made the deal to where I make a little bit off of like ads, or they'll pay me monthly or quarterly based upon how many views were on their platform or whatever. And with those, I think I made about $20 a quarter with a handful. Of those 8, I think 2 of them were like that, and I made about $20 a quarter each. So they were all very unconventional deals. Almost all of them were 1 year exclusive deals that were tiny, like 3-figure deals for very small countries. But still, after all was said and done, I think with VUULR, after 1 year, with about 3 to 6 months of like pitching, I made about $1,500 US. Um, which compared to 20 on FilmHub, you're like, that's kind of a jump. But for someone that's like, how does all this make sense? So did your films make any money at all? And yes, they did. They made their money back. So the kind of my whole wrap up to this is I'll make other videos on this stuff, but it's just like, well, how did my films actually make any real money? And the truth is, sales agents. So I had a sales agent for one of my films, and they got me one at least pretty big 5-figure deal with a distributor, and then another one, and then they also connected me with other distributors that allowed me to make a few more like 4-figure deals with other territories. So it's almost like my how it worked out for me is like you got the one big one, and then a few medium-sized ones in different territories, and then a few very small ones in littler territories, and then just scraps. And now I'm just making little bits here and there of like ad revenue from places here, like from whatever that are making. If I had a bunch of movies, it could add up, but when you only have one or two, it's virtually nothing. But yeah, so if that was interesting or insightful for anybody, let me know with a comment or whatever. Like and subscribe, because I'll start going over all my other videos on like how do you actually get your, how do you actually pitch Netflix? How do you find a sales agent? What sales agents are actually worth looking at? How do I sell films overseas? How do I sell films in the United States? What distributors accept submission? What distributors don't rip you off, and things like that. So I'm making those. Most of my videos have been focused on my comics, but I'll start as I'm now. My focus and shifts kind of changed, where it's like, because I write comic books, and like I have a whole series that's out right now, so most of my focus is that. But I'm very soon in the summer, my focus is going to switch to a movie that I am finishing production at that time, and then I'll be starting to, and then whenever I'm like my wheels are churning in that wheelhouse, I start posting and thinking of videos and stuff, being like, oh, I should make a video about that. So more movie ones will be coming soon. And if anybody's interested, just like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.